Faraji Muhammad, who I think is a really smart guy, talk radio show host, and I really like him on Roland Martin's show. But y'all were talking about the vaccines last week, and I could see you wanting to chime in because he was making a lot of comments. I just want to revisit this conversation because I do think Faraji Muhammad is a really good, strong voice. But I want to play a clip, and this is a bit edited because he said a lot, but it's under 2 minutes of him talking about vaccine scare tactics. And I saw you wanting to respond, but you didn't get a chance to. So I'd love to, and if Faraj's out there, it's no shade to him. But again,
I like Faraji. Be clear, he's a good guy. We don't share opinions on this, but he is a good person.
But this is important to hear, and so I wanted to hear this, and then let you respond. Listen to this, Faraji Muhammad, a week ago today on Roland Martin show.
Now, I remember just reading a report earlier this week from the Washington Post, and on that report, family, it said Biden receives inconclusive intelligence report on the origin of COVID-19. In that report that the president had asked to do over a 90-day period, they cannot, and this is the intelligence community have said, that they could not determine the origin of COVID-19. Now, what does that say to you? Because I'm putting it out there to folks to really, to let it marinate and analyze. What that says to me is that this country does not have a real grasp of where COVID-19 has come from.
Okay. Before I give it to you, Reese, let me just say this. We don't know where most of these viruses came from. We don't know the origins of HIV/AIDS, which is reported in 1981 for the first time. We don't know. We're not exactly sure the origins of the measles. We assume it came sometime in the 17th century. We don't know the origins of most viruses. It's believed most viruses started some way from animals. But what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? And we don't know the origins. I just was like, Faraji, what are you saying? Maybe he meant something else. And this whole idea of beating people in the head about the vaccine, I've seen people, was it in West Virginia? They offered them guns, like a gun raffle.
Right.
If you get a vaccine, we'll give you a free gun. You might win a gun. Money, beer, gift cards. You know who is being beaten in the head over the vaccine? Countries like China, where they say, you are getting this vaccine.
Yeah.
All this freedom bullshit, that ain't going for you. No, it's going to happen, or you'll be fined, or we'll lock you up. No one's being beat. 51% of the population, they're vaccinated. That's not being beat in the head. So I was really confused about I feel like folks have been now you and I might run our mouth, but I feel like folks have been gentle. I feel like folks have been like, okay, we got to find a way to talk to the people.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I was just a little bit, but I saw you putting your hand up, and I said, I got to have Reese just sound off on this. But like I said, most viruses, Brother Muhammad, we don't know the origins of. Viruses aren't like, hey, started here. It doesn't happen that way.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was really like, okay, what is your point? I'm so confused as to what your point is, even though I know what his point was, because the conspiracy theorists, they try to say that it originated from the Wuhan lab, that it's man-made, that it's biological warfare, Bill Gates set up a corona, so it's a wink and a nod to that kind of section of people who believe that coronavirus is somehow man-made as some sort of plot to exterminate or population control. I did a video on that before where somebody has said they want to get rid of, they want to get the population down to 500 million people. I said, okay, so that's 95% of people going to be eradicated off the world. And y'all complaining right now that you don't have enough people to serve your Starbucks and your Chipotle. So who going to do all that if we get rid of 95% of the people? But so that was more, I really like Faraji. I'm okay with being in the company of people who don't share my opinion on everything, but I hear the dog whistles. I definitely hear it, because I hear all of these things that kind of circulate through the conspiracy theory channels. So he was trying to insinuate that there was something sinister about the origin of coronavirus. But to your point, Clay, it's we don't know where it came from. It probably came from a bat or something like that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So also,
What do they call it, Reese? It's a zoonotic virus, which means it went from. Actually, let me know.
animal.
I at one point I heard that it was zoonotic. I don't know if it still is. Went from animal
Yeah,
to human. They
right.
believe, but go ahead.
And that's what I've read as well. But there's a difference between an intelligence community assessment and a medical community assessment. The medical community is the one that we're taking cues from. I don't think we're looking at the CIA to tell us to take the vaccine or not. No, we're looking to the CDC and the FDA. So it's more of this kind of like nodding to that faction who believe that a variety of, usually to me, conflicting conspiracy theories about coronavirus. But here's the thing, like I said, to your point, they offered people everything under the sun. So they offered you all of these perks. Now they saying we're gonna really beat your ass over the head because you're gonna pay extra for healthcare, you're gonna pay extra for this. You can't. I don't know if you saw Candace Owens.
Oh, I saw that. That was a cackle.
You saw that?
Wait, let me tell folks what happened.
Okay,
Candace
ahead,
Owens, who thinks that the coronavirus is nothing and it's some democratic whatever. She was, what was it, Aspen? Was it Aspen? So she, for some reason, she wanted to get a rapid test. And the company, the place, a private company, they said, no, we're not going to give you a test because you spread misinformation. You are very dangerous. Go down to a clinic. And she posted it, I guess, thinking she would get some kind of sympathy. But, when you're that much of a grifter, it's hard to keep track of the grift. And so folks are pulling up other tweets of her dismissing the validity of the coronavirus or dismissing the validity of the vaccine. Girl, if it ain't that big of a deal, why are you asking for a test?
Exactly.
And they said no. They said no. Go ahead.
And so my whole point is that now there's starting to be more consequences. He wants to call it a war. Y'all gonna lose the war.
Right.
So I don't even know why y'all even want to call yourself going to war. How y'all gonna win? We got the government on our side. We got the military. We got every government in the world that's powerful is on the side of vaccines. Now that may not be an incentive for some people. That might add to their little conspiracy theory mindset. But the bottom line is y'all gonna lose. Y'all already losing because y'all are being wiped out. I think it's very interesting though how everybody got a story about somebody who's vaccinated who has gotten the virus. But nobody got no stories about unvaccinated people. You want to know why? Because them motherfuckers is quiet as shit every time they get the vaccine.
Right.
They get COVID, they just disappear for a couple of weeks, come back, don't say nothing. So, I'm not sympathetic to any kind of, oh, you're shaming us. We tried everything. And so I go back and forth in any given day. I go one way. I'm like, well, people are fooled. It's easy to be fooled by this stuff. Another part, I'm like, I'm sick of y'all motherfuckers take the vaccine. Right. I'm on both sides on any given day. So I understand
it. We have some calls, but I just want to get to this. Speaking of that, really sad story. There was a school district in Texas where 2 teachers have died and I think it's in Waco, Texas. They died. They had to shut down the school district because these 2 teachers died, and they don't have a mask mandate in these schools. And it's believed that they don't know if they were vaccinated or not, but 2 teachers have died in 1 week. These are our educators.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things. It's crazy. It's the Central Texas School District. The teachers, Natalia Chancellor, 41 years old, 6th grade social studies teacher. And another one, David McCormick, 59 years old, a 7th grade teacher. I mean, and he died on August 24th. Maybe we need some, I always talk about Black history. Maybe we need just some virus history.
Yeah.
Viruses are insidious. Look at the bubonic plague. Look at the Spanish flu. Yeah. They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about, I know folks who have had conspiracy theories about the HIV/AIDS virus, that it was a government plot, that it came through hepatitis vaccines, and they gave it to all these gay men in New York and San Francisco and in Haiti as well, because there was an outbreak in Haiti. I'm telling y'all, I don't think it was any of that. I think viruses, sadly, it's an insidious part of Mother Nature.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. And I wish there was an HIV/AIDS vaccine. I just saw earlier this week that the HIV/AIDS vaccine trial failed. It failed.
Oh, I saw that there was some promising data, but it failed. Oh.
Yeah. So listen. Yeah. So respectfully, Faraji, brother, we don't know where most of these viruses come from. We don't know the
Yeah.
origins. Viruses don't have a passport.
But can I say it's crazy
Yes.
because Texas doesn't have a mask mandate, but they have a forced pregnancy mandate.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So come on.
And a mandate that you can sue an Uber driver if he or she somehow drives you to an abortion clinic. You can sue them for $10,000. Texas just sounds very anti-life to me. Very anti-life.
That's what it is. I struggle because I understand the sentiment about I'm not anti-vax, but the impact is the same. Whether you are anti-vaccination or you're just against taking the vaccine personally, the impact is exactly the same. Whatever motivates you, it still has the same impact. The fact that we won't reach herd immunity, the fact that you're still vulnerable, the fact that the ICUs are filling up, the fact that we're running out of oxygen in some places. Several states are low on oxygen. They're trying to source oxygen in those states. In New Orleans, they couldn't evacuate the ICUs because there was no hospital beds, in neighboring states to send people to. So the impact is what is distressing, regardless of what your intentions are behind not taking the vaccine. I think everybody has the right to. I say this, Dr. Carr, the great Dr. Carr says, take the shot or not. And I completely wholeheartedly agree with him on that. It's your choice, but choices have consequences. And, I can't bring myself to say that it's a reasonable choice. It's as reasonable as getting vaccinated because all of the data suggests that you are far more protected, exponentially more protected with the vaccine than anything. And again, I say this, and I probably will try to say this every week, as long as it needs to be said, the vaccine is the most neutral prescription out there to combat coronavirus. It's basically what the government is saying. That's all you're going to get for now. They're not really pushing the monoclonal antibodies for people who do get coronavirus as much. There are limited doses. So that means there's rationing that's going to occur. That means your black ass probably ain't gonna get it. Okay. And that means that it's going to be, distributed based on socioeconomics, even though it's supposedly free, there's still going to be criteria that's going to prioritize this thing. It's just the most neutral thing that can happen. It's neutral across the world in terms of people across the world. 97 countries are taking the same Pfizer shot. Moderna, you could say the same thing as well. It's not neutral in terms of the access worldwide because in Africa they only have 2% vaccination rate, which is why there's a new variant in South Africa. Yes, that people are very
in Haiti
afraid
they have a
of.
less than 1%. Than 1%. They're begging for it in Haiti, begging for it on hands and knees.
Every country that Vice President Kamala Harris has been to, even the Southeast Asia, when she went to South America, part of that diplomacy was about the vaccine and vaccine access. So we're very fortunate to have it here. People can make their choices, but let's not gaslight like, oh, well, I wear a mask. And so that is as effective as the vaccine, because it's just flat out not, because people are not wearing masks in general at home when they're around loved ones. They might wear it at the grocery store or they might wear it to go to the movies, but they're not wearing masks at home. And so you're letting your guard down at some point. But listen, it's your choice, but just come on. Anti-vaxxer, vaccine hesitant. I know that people want to have sensitivities around the label, but the impact is exactly the same.